When that ball drops into the center circle at a World Cup, a temporary social contract goes into effect. For 90 minutes, two nations operate under universal rules, creating a space of global equality. The referee acts as the administrator of this space. They do not care about a country's GDP or its military influence. They only care about the laws of the game. But when political pressure dictates the cancellation of a red card, that contract shatters. It replaces established rules with top-down, arbitrary interference. In this instance, that interference was linked to the U.S. presidency. Trump pushed to alter the match's consequences to directly benefit the American side. At the highest levels of FIFA, President Gianni Infantino bypassed standard protocols to accommodate the move. Observers noted that the decision felt less like a process and more like an exercise of power, done just for fun. For the fans in the stands, this creates an immediate psychological vacuum. Without the ethical foundation of fair play, the event is no longer recognizable as football. It is just an empty performance. When geopolitical power intrudes into a governed game, it strips away the meritocracy. The match degrades from a sporting event into political grifting. On the pitch, canceling the red card forced the Belgian side to compete against a full-strength American defense that should have been shorthanded. You would expect this to demoralize the Belgian supporters. Instead, the audacity of the twisted rules triggers a paradox. The obvious injustice provides a massive psychological boost. This creates oppositional solidarity. When a system operates with blatant unfairness, it shifts neutral observers toward the disadvantaged side. This momentum compounds. The Belgian team feels that, because the rules were bent, the entire world is now standing behind them. When institutions operate with such clear bias, they inadvertently arm their targets with the most powerful psychological weapon in sports: moral consensus. For the beneficiary nation, the perspective is more conflicted. There is the immediate patriotic excitement of having an advantage, but that excitement is often met with deep reservations. Fans who respect the process, including former referees, recognize that when the spirit of the rules is ignored, the game loses its meaning. This is the danger of putting a thumb on the scale. When an administration intervenes, it trades a short-term sports advantage for long-term political leverage. The administration will eventually demand credit for that favor. This creates a dangerous precedent, tying athletes' success to political loyalty. This leaves many supporters with a sense of dread. A victory achieved through administrative interference feels permanently tainted. Politically delivered victories are ultimately hollow because they hijack the athlete's achievements to serve a broader geopolitical agenda. The ultimate irony of the incident is that the attempt to exploit national pride ended up eroding the divisions between the fans. Both sides were left with a common skepticism toward the authorities managing the match. This exposed a clear disconnect between the expectations of the fans and the actions of the officials. In the stands, the primary conflict was no longer about the two teams, but about the people's demand for a fair game versus the administrators' interference. Fans expressed a growing realization that global leaders, driven by agendas of power and grifting, fail to represent the desires of their own citizens. They see a leadership class that prioritizes its own influence over the integrity of the institutions they run. This shared recognition of institutional corruption creates a moment of agreement between rivals. When both sides feel the game is being manipulated, they find themselves on the same page. It highlights a gap between the artificial conflicts stoked by political bodies and the organic desire of the fans to simply participate in a fair and transparent system. The true unifying power of the sport does not come from the governing bodies that claim to lead it. It comes from the grassroots demand of citizens who refuse to let their shared passions be weaponized by the elite.